Hey, I will give you in today's video the exact SOP that I've given to hundreds of my students on how to do niche research properly. Those students have been able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars by selling their AI solutions as well as their services by first understanding who you're selling to. Right, and this SOP in this video, I'm going to run it down on exactly what you need to understand, how you're going to research it. So let's dive straight into it. So one of the most essential points, which I honestly forgot myself when I started my business, and I was just thinking, what is the most prettiest niche to go into, or which niche I'm the most passionate about? When in reality, one of the most important questions that to ask yourself is, can they pay? Right? So a client must have sufficient disposable income to pay you. And what I mean by that is not, if you look at a client who is making, let's say, 5K a month, right? Local businesses, so it can be an info product owner, it doesn't matter, right? And you want to sell him your AI agent, AI solution, right? You're not going to be able to charge him 3K a month if he makes 5K, right? And even though you think, well, he could afford it, well, what you don't think is that he's not going to spend all of his money on your AI solution, right? And the absolute principle which I've always hold to, and unfortunately learned it the hard way, which is if it's painful to buy, it's going to be painful to fulfill, right? And the reason for that is you have to imagine it that way, right? If you have a client, right, which makes 150K a month, and you charge him 2K, right? That's less. That's like 2.3% or something like that of what he makes a month, compared to the client who makes, let's say, 5K a month, right? And you charge him 2.5K, that's 50%, right? And so the more painful it is to buy, more painful it's going to be to fulfill. Because you don't give two hell about 2.5%, but you do give a hell about 50%, right? So understanding clients' monthly revenue and profit margins, right? And how much you should charge. Like I said, not painful. Now, here's the important thing. You've probably all heard the saying USP, unique selling proposition, right? But these days, it has more to be unique value proposition, right? And a moat. So, why should I buy from you and not your competitor, right? And what justifies your price? You're always going to have that question. Whether it's conscious or subconscious on a sales call, you're always going to get that question, right? So you have to be able to answer it. Now, when it comes to a technological advantage that you have or might not have, right? Unfortunately, if you are a solopreneur or you're running a business, you might not have the capabilities to develop new stuff, right? Think about it, a dishwasher. How many dishwashers are there? How many iPhones, like how many phones are there, right? So you might not be able to have a technological advantage over, because how many people are selling AI already, right? Or AI agents or whatever. So you have to think, what is a unique value proposition that you have? For example, quick delivery, right? Or consistent support. What are the things that make you unique? And you have to think of this in terms of a brand, right? Because if you think about Louis Vuitton, right, or any luxury brand, they don't charge you for the product cost, right? The product costs maybe $20 and they charge you $400 for it, right? So you pay them for the unique value, right? Which is not really a thing because it's just in our head, right? So you have to think the same way. What is what is the brand you're standing behind? Because today we speak of personal brands. If you have asked me, if you really want to be successful in business, you need a company brand, right? Like I run Operation Growth Nation, which is a community for AI agencies and AI businesses to learn about sales. Important for you as well is to have a brand behind what you do. Not only you personally, but a company brand, right? And what are the values that the company brand shares, or even you as a person? What are the values that you share? Now, another very important point, which is moat. Moat basically means what protects your business from competitors taking it down. What I mean by that is you have to think that AI is moving so quickly that tomorrow you could be replaced by a better AI agent, and so on and so forth, right? So, you have to think about that when creating a niche. And I want you to answer all of those questions on a document, right? Just like this, I want you to answer all of those questions. And by the way, I'm going to give you the exact SOP as a template in the description of this video, so you can just go and watch it. And moat is not, like I said, necessarily a technological advantage, but it can also be moat, for example, you position yourself as an exclusive premium solution, right? So when more business competitors comes in, there's probably going to be very hard for them to take your spot if you build that reputation up, right? For example, for extremely good quality or always working or whatever, right? And like I was saying, we already live in a world where everything exists. It's how you do it, not what you do, right? And to give you a few example, it can be fast, cheap, exclusive, highest quality, speed, client communication. There's a lot of things you can choose, right? But you should really put effort into this, because the next video I'm going to do is about offer creation, right? How to create an AI offer which will allow you to make a whole bunch of money, right? So if you don't know your niche, you're not going to be able to create a good offer. So you should really invest time into this. So next question you have to ask yourself is reachability, market access, which means how difficult is it going to be to get to a decision maker on a sales call, right? By the way, these are notes I did out of one-on-one conversation I had with one of my one-on-one students, and the important thing here in that conversation was, well, you're gonna have niches, for example, like real estate, where it's gonna be so much easier to book sales calls in, right? That's on point of reachability, a pretty high score, right? So you can score it 1 to 10 on each, right? But then you also have to ask, uh, is it not just a gatekeeper? For example, in that dentist niche, you're probably going to speak to mostly gatekeepers. How hard is it to book appointments? Give it a scale, and then you can also think about it. What is the best approach when it comes to, for example, CAOs or usually high-level positions and bigger companies? They're usually on LinkedIn, right? They're not going to chill in the office all day. Like the same thing with a dentist, it might be smarter to message him on LinkedIn than it is to give him a call, because he's going to be in a practice all day. Though if he is a successful um, dentist, he's probably going to be on LinkedIn to connect with other business owners. So you really have to look into those things. And we are going to cover how do you actually get to know those things. So fulfillment capabilities. Can you fulfill on a problem that they have? So first you have to ask, is there a problem you can solve? Right? And do you have the ability to then solve it? And if not, what are the necessary things that you need to learn or to find the resources you need to do it? And if you want to sell it later, right? Is there, and that's also a big point, you have to think about how much do you need to educate the market about your problem and solution, right? So to give an example, if you would try to sell an iPhone in some underdeveloped African country, they might, or a cloud service, right, or an AI agent to an underdeveloped African urban, it's not going to work out because they're not even knowing what an iPhone is, slash what a cloud server is, or what an AI agent is, right? So you have to understand that this was an extreme example, but this is the same way, right? How much is your market aware of the problems that you're trying to solve, right? And if they're not, because you have to realize this big thing, which is what you know or you believe to be a problem that they have because it's logic, compared to what they believe they have as a problem, which is usually just emotional, right? So what are the emotional problems that they believe they hold, all right? So these are the exact questions that you need to ask yourself. Now let's look at how you can find out all of this. All right, so this is the second document, which I'm also going to put in the description, and this one is actually super useful, right? So like we were saying, you also have to understand the numbers, right? And that's way easier to find out. So why you need to understand them is simple. If you can't make an offer which is either overpriced or doesn't make any logical sense, then you're not gonna sell, right? And for that, you need to know things like profit margins, right? The average income of the company owners in a niche. How much do the top industry players make? then you know what is the top level, and then can compare it whether the prospect you're having on a sales call is actually a good one, right? Knowing your numbers will help you know whether the business is performing well, if they're great at what they do, and if you are also at what level they are, and if your solution is a good fit, right? If they make $5 million a year, you might not be the guy to fix the problem, right? Or maybe, yeah, the other way around could be as well. If they make 10K a month, you might be not the right guy to help them at that point, right? So what I want you to do here at this point, right? I want you to copy category 1, right? And I want you to then go put it into Perplexity AI, right? Perplexity AI is like the most technical and analytical AI tool there is out there. And I'm sitting outside, so the Wi-Fi connection is really bad. But put it in there. Ask him to let's copy this. I want to know every single point of data with its source about real estate agents in Canada. So you're gonna put that in. He's gonna cook you out an answer, which is gonna be pretty detailed, right? So as you can see, the average income, right, which is super bad to be fair. As you can see, you have super good real estate agents and you have super shitty, right? And that's exactly what you want to know, right? So this is going to be all of the, you can really then go deep into also the sources that they provide you, right? You want to go into the sources because don't only take the first thing you get, right? You have to understand you have to dig a little bit deeper. And by the way, this is going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to be worth it because I've learned the better I knew my niche, the more money I made, right? And that's how simple it is. So the second part you have to understand to answer the questions I was asking before on this document called Critical Niche Research, like those ones, you have to identify and the pain points, right? Understanding the industry and the slash the people, which is not the numbers, but the people, more the emotional side of things, right? Never use AI tools to answer those questions. What are emotional pain points they have? Never use AI for that because AI doesn't understand emotions or as good as we do yet. Right? So one you can do is research the biggest players in your niche, coaches, consultants, marketing agencies, AI agencies. Look at what the solution they're offering, and then you can reverse engineer it as to what you have to offer, right? Because what are the problems they have? Let's say, um, helping you get. I'm a big consultant, and I tell, for example, on my website, helping real estate agents win back 30 hours per month on management tasks. Well, what is the pain point that they're solving? Well, the pain point they're solving is that they're wasting time on management tasks, right? Or admin tasks. So you need to understand the people because you will have better time on sales calls. You're gonna build more reports. You're gonna close at higher rates, and you also speak the language, right? It generates trust. And how can you get all of those things? And how can you understand those things? And the best thing you can do is watch content about it. Right? So watch YouTube videos about the day of a real estate agent, the day of a roofer, how to start a real estate business, right? Listen to podcasts from big players in the niche, right? Watch the news. There's real estate forecasts and real estate news channels, for example, right? I was a long time in a real estate niche, so I can tell you that. You have to just be on their media. Where are they chilling out, right? You have to think, okay, what does the day of a real estate agent look like, right? You just search a YouTube video, the day of a real estate agent. And from that YouTube video, you're gonna see, okay, where do they spend the most time on? In their cars, listening to podcasts, or are they in the office reading the emails or watching YouTube videos? What are they doing? On which channels are they? That will tell you where to reach out to them, but it will also tell you what content to consume, right? So podcasts, YouTube videos, articles I'm not the biggest fan of, so I like to keep it to podcasts and YouTube videos. Watch a lot of them, right? It helps you so much. So that being said, I'm going to put those two documents in the description. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want more help from my side, just check out the second link in the description, which is going to be my group called Operation Gulf Nation. Hope you enjoyed it, and shall see you in the next one. Peace out. Out of France, north of France. Peace out.